This week on Amalie Celtics Weekly, an old friend returns to the lineup and reclaims his position as team leader. With a healthy lineup now in his hands, Chris Ford is shuffling around players, and playing time is the big subject. And we'll take a look at a traveling dunk show featuring our own slam dunk champion, Dee Brown. All this and more next on Amalie Celtics Weekly.
Amalie Celtics Weekly, brought to you by Amalie Motor Oil. Better than it has to be. And now, here's your host, Mike Gorman.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Gorman, and welcome to Amalie Celtics Weekly. Well, last week the Celtics had more than their share of ups and downs. There were some wins, some losses, and some players returning to action as Chris Ford continued to search for the winning combination. The first game last week took the Celtics out on the road, where they've struggled of late against the New Jersey Net team that is much improved. The Celtics would score first in this one. John Bagley, Kevin Gamble, Reggie Lewis team up for a 2-0 lead. And then John Bagley finds Robert Parrish for the running dunk. And the Celtics are up 6-4. But the Nets would block 14 shots in this game. There's one of them by Sam Bowie. Kenny Anderson finds Derek Coleman for a layup. And the Nets take the lead 13-8. And it was Derek Coleman again with two more of his 21 points as he goes around Pinckney and Parrish. And the Nets are up by 10. And then another one of those blocks, this time Coleman on McHale. It's a 12-point net lead at this point. Kevin McHale, a little defense of his own on Sam Bowie. Eventually, McHale will follow up the miss by Sherman Douglas, but the Nets still lead by 8, 41-33. Sam Bowie through the back door to Raphael Addison. The Nets still hold on to a 10-point lead, 43-33. And then Petrovic to Terry Mills, and the Nets extended to 14, 49-35. Eddie Pinckney had 13 points on the night, including that dunk. That cut the lead down to 10. But Chris Morris, nice move underneath there on the pass from Kenny Anderson, a 16-point net lead in the third. And then Petrovic, a three-pointer. And the Nets are really cruising, 75-58 at this time. Kenny Anderson to Chris Morris to Chris Dudley for the stuff. The Nets extended to a 19-point lead. Raphael Addison with two more, and the Nets win this one going away. Larry Bird's still not back, but the Celtics wouldn't need him on this night against the Indiana Pacers. Michael Williams had a good night, 23 points there, ties the game at 10. Robert Parrish, long pass coming up to Kevin Gamble for a breakaway layup. The Celtics open up a 5-point lead in the first quarter. Reggie Lewis strips Reggie Miller, Pinckney to Gamble, ultimately Dee Brown the layup. The Celtics are up 17-10. Dee Brown to Robert Parrish. Eddie Pinckney will end up with the dunk. And the Celtics have a 9-point lead still in the first quarter. Detlef Schrempf pass stolen by Eddie Pinckney. Off to Dee Brown. And Robert Parrish, the eventual stuff. The Celtics are doing well. Michael Williams losing the ball. Rick Fox to Kevin Gamble. And the Celtics suddenly have a 17-point lead in this one. Detlef Schrempf would have 20 on the night. That cut the Celtics lead just a bit in the second. Rick Fox coming up with a steal. Nice little behind-the-back pass to Sherman Douglas. Boston opens up a 20-point lead. Reggie Lewis finds Kevin McHale fighting for the spot. Kevin had 18. Celtics led by 25 and won this one easily.
We came out with a lot of energy, and instead of running back on our heels all night, we were up being aggressive, getting in their faces. I thought D was a big spark for us, particularly in that area where he was up there applying a lot of pressure on their point guard.
I think defense is the main thing. We got easy baskets. We got them out. Their running game, those guys, they can put up 120 points, but, we held them and got them frustrated early in the game, so that's what we had to do.
It was refreshing to see that we was able to get off to a good lead and able to sustain that lead. We've been playing well in other ball games, but at the end we always fizzled and gave it away. So nice to see us able to build a lead and able to maintain that lead.
Played really aggressive from the start till the end. And we haven't really been able to sustain that on the road. I mean, there are times when we're really passive, team overtakes us, and then we really can't make up the difference. And tonight it was just an overall effort from everyone, and we got that for the full game.
Well, that convincing win against the Indiana Pacers led some people to believe that the Celtics had turned the corner and were now on an upswing. Well, a truer test would be coming up in their very next outing on the road against the Hawks, and we'll have the highlights of that and more when Amalie Celtics Weekly continues. Eddie comes to the ball, spins on Thompson, off Parrish's foot, right back to Eddie. He can't finish, but he follows.
I don't think we really have a problem winning at home. It's our biggest problems on the road. I think this is definitely going to help us regain our confidence. But again, it's very important for us to, now that we're going to go on the road, not have a big letdown after this one. You know, it's very important that we try and win on the road so we can get back on track. I think that'll give us more confidence than a home win.
Steal by Kevin Gambit will be a 3-on-2 for the Celtics. It's Pinckney hard to the hoop, give him the basket.
Well, the Celtics' road record before last Friday had slipped to a dismal 10-19. But after that win over Indiana, things seemed to be turning around a little bit for the Celtics. On Friday night, Boston would travel to Atlanta. And the big surprise there was Chris Ford starting D. Brown at the point. The Celtics wished that Dominique Wilkins and Travis Mays were joined by a few other Hawks on the sidelines. How about Stacey Augmon? That would have helped the cause. Ramil Robinson stealing the ball from Robert Parrish there. Augmon the dunk, and the Hawks lead by 12-6 early. How about Stacey? Do it again. He did. And it's now 14-6 Atlanta. Ramil Robinson was just all over the place on this particular night, coming up with the steal. Alexander Volkov gets the layup this time. Hawks still lead by 6. Robert Parrish, strong move on Kevin Willis to cut the Hawk lead to 2. And then D. Brown, the bounce pass to Kevin McHale for a little hook shot, and the game is tied at 24. Paul Graham, though, found Kevin Willis for a dunk, and the Hawks go up by 3. And then D. Brown on the little pick and pop by Joe Klein, and the Celtics have a 1-point lead, 33-32. Long pass breakaway to Kevin Gamble for the layup. Celtics a 10-2 run to go up by 5, but then Robinson again finds Kevin Willis for a dunk, and then Ramil spins on his own for a driving layup. And the Hawks lead 54-53 at the half. Robert Parrish losing the ball. Stacey Augmon to Ramil Robinson to Kevin Willis, another dunk. And the Hawks are cruising 64-59 in the third. Kevin Gamble's bank shot got the Celtics back to within 1, 74-73. But then Augmon out to Dwayne Farrell for the driving scoop shot. And the Hawks are up 87-81 in the fourth. And then Stacey Augmon icing on the cake, and the Hawks win. Sunday marked the return of Larry Bird. Celtic fans hope it means all is well. Larry gave every indication all was well last night. Scored his first basket of turnaround, and the Celtics led at 8-4. Then Bird hits a three-pointer, and the Celtics go up by 9, 13-4 early. Dallas wouldn't go away, hit some good outside jump shots. The Mavericks led 28-27 in the second, and then Tracy Moore, the steal, goes all the way for a stuff and is fouled, and the Mavericks are up by 6, 35-29. But Bird, a good look down low to Robert Parrish, cuts it to 39-31. Kevin Gamble to Larry Bird. Larry bangs home the jump shot, and the Celtics grab the lead at 45-44. Robert Parrish says no to Donald Hodge right there, then says no to Donald Hodge again. Great defense by the Chief down low. Larry Bird in the passing lane, anticipating to Rick Fox, to Kevin McHale for the short jump shot. Celtics go up by 6, 74-68. A Bird miss is picked off by Rick Fox. Celtics good ball movement. Kevin McHale the jumper. Celtics are up at the end of 3, and Rick Fox a steal to a Reggie Lewis stuff opens up a 10-point 84-74 lead. And then Larry Bird, one for good measure, over the head here to D. Brown. Larry's back, and the Celtics win.
I've had a lot of time to practice. I've been practicing pretty hard the last couple of weeks, and I felt I was getting stronger, but you never know until you get out there. And by the indication of the first shot I took, I thought, oh, God, here we go. But after that, everything was pretty smooth.
You know, he had his complete game, and he really kept us in it in the first half and helped us draw it away in the end. But, you know, it's amazing. Just his dedication, his work ethic. You know, he hasn't had as much basketball floor time in this last month or so, but he's done all the other things to keep his stamina up.
Yeah, it was great. You know, relaxes everybody in court, takes pressure off me, Reggie, Chief. You know, most everybody who's on the court when he's on the court at the same time. So it's another threat. Guys have to worry about him. They have to worry about Reggie and Kevin. So it makes us a stronger team.
I didn't know he was going to have this kind of an outfit the first time out there. You know, he surprised me with that. You know, but he's such a competitor. You know, there's no telling what Larry's going to do.
Well, with the return of D. Brown and Larry Bird and even Kevin McHale, Chris Ford has had to once again reshuffle that lineup. And that means that some players are going to have their minutes and their roles altered. We'll take a look at that and how this will affect this team when Amalie Celtics Weekly continues. that the success of the Boston Celtics depended in a large part on their ability to stay healthy. But major injuries to Dee Brown, Kevin McHale, and Larry Bird have prevented the Celtics from ever putting on the court the team that fans were dreaming about back in October. Now, with a little over a month and a half to go in the regular season, Coach Chris Ford does have everyone back in uniform. But as the last couple of weeks have shown us, meshing this team together will not be easy.
This was a tough stretch run, and we did not handle it well at all. We should have responded better. I don't like the way we came back after the All-Star break, but we've got to use this as a stepping stone. It's up to us in that locker room to keep everything positive.
As we enter the month of March, the Celtics face some difficult questions. Can Brown, McHale, and Bird play themselves back into top form? Can the Celtics adjust both offensively and defensively? And can the other players who have performed so well in Larry, Dee, and Kevin's absence be as productive with reduced playing time?
You can't go into playoffs struggling and expect to turn it on. There's just no magical switch for that. You've got to be playing well going in, and we have not really sustained any great play all year long, and we've struggled a lot of times. And I think that the rallying cry there for a while was, well, we played hard, but we were still losing games.
Dee Brown has been back on the floor for a month now, showing flashes of brilliance. He's played both the off guard and the point guard, but it appears that the Celtics are hoping long-term that Dee's a point guard.
When we first got him back, I didn't want to put him at the point because I didn't think he was ready. He hadn't been running an offense, and I wanted to get him out there and get him some playing time, not having the added pressure of quarterbacking the team. And I've spoken with him, and now we think that he's ready to step up and start playing point.
I can play the two just because I have, maybe I can jump a little higher than the next guy or maybe a little quicker. But for me as a future pro, it'd be one guard just because I can pressure guys up the court and get the running game going, which Coach Ford wants.
Well, Dee's the type of player that make things happen out there. He's very athletic, very active, and he makes a lot of things happen.
For most of the season, John Bagley has been Boston's most effective point guard. But Brown's reemergence has put Bags on the bench. And what role will Sherman Douglas have? He hasn't got much time.
There's only so many minutes out there. My job is to get us wins, and the guys have got to understand. The way you get to stay on the floor is by working hard and doing positive things. So that makes it easy. From that. But there's a lot of guys who feel like it should play right now, and I like that. I like because a lot of guys stepped up their abilities when people were out. And now when you're trying to integrate those injured players back in the rotation, it's difficult. Guys, their nose get out of the joint a little bit, but you got to deal with that.
Not only are the minutes changing at point guard, but what about the front court now that Bird and McHale are back? And what about Joe Klein? His minutes may dwindle.
Well, it's something that's it's going to happen, and it's nothing I can do about it. And so the only thing I can focus on is staying in shape. Keeping my shooting touch there, and just working hard. Now with Larry coming back, I have to step it up and work a little bit harder because I won't be playing as much.
And what about rookie Rick Fox, whose tenacity has made so many good things happen this season? Rick Fox, nice anticipation. Behind the back, Sherman Douglas. Fox's versatility has allowed him to play 3 positions this season, but with the Celtics back at full strength, he may get less time.
It's hard to stay mentally prepared in situations like that, but I'm learning how to do it, and it's key because I have to be ready whenever asked to play 2 minutes or 20 minutes.
Bird's absence put Kevin McHale in the offensive spotlight, and Kevin responded night in and night out. Kevin Gamble taking it strong, hits the runner and draws a foul. The return of Brown, McHale, and Bird means a more diversified offense. How will this affect Gamble's productivity? And what will become of Ed Pinckney, who has played so well for the Celtics all season long?
It affects me in a big way, but it's going to affect the entire team. Larry means so much to this team. We really expect him to come back and be a huge part of it. If that means I have to sit down, then, whatever. We all have to be on the same page, and we got to win games.
Kevin McHale has struggled throughout his injury-plagued season, but just recently Kevin has seemed to regain his shooting touch, and that's good news for the Celtics.
I'm feeling better. Feeling a lot better. I think that the last 5, 6, 7 games I've played, you know, for having really limited minutes, I've played fairly well. You know, I mean, really not getting anything more than 20 minutes. And so I think my productivity has been fairly good for limited minutes.
Kevin's been around for a long time, and he knows it's tough to change things around at this point of the season.
And the worst thing that you can do is, you know, have Larry come back and be playing really, really poorly, because then all of a sudden then the onus shifts to him, and it's just doubly hard. You know, if we can get in the flow and start playing well and hopefully get a lot of high energy and get him back in it, and then everything's a positive. But if you're playing very poorly, you add another guy to the mix who's really maybe not in sync, it just doesn't help. You know, but if everybody's going, and you know, if you play really hard, a lot of times you just stumble into stuff. I mean, if you just play hard, you know, hell, good things just happen.
The best-case scenario is that Brown, McHale, and Bird will recuperate from their injuries, shed their rust, and return to top form. The other players will maintain their confidence and effectiveness, giving the team greater depth and versatility. And the Celtics will hit their peak just before the playoffs in late April. That's the goal, and the next month and a half, we'll see if they can attain it. Well, as we all know, because of the injury to his knee, Dee Brown was never able to defend his slam dunk championship. However, last summer, Dee took his slammin' and jammin' act on the road, and we'll take a look at that when Emily Celtic Weekly continues. Right now is no doubt Dee Brown. After winning the slam dunk contest in Charlotte last year, Dee became a national celebrity. His popularity was so widespread that this summer was just jam-packed with appearances and special events. One of these was a tour of local malls in which fans were able to challenge Dee Brown in their own slam dunk contest.
Past 4 weeks, Dee Brown has been a welcome sight to the Boston Celtics lineup. After missing the entire first half of the season with a knee injury, the second-year guard has wasted no time in displaying his new sharp shooting skills, as well as the same awesome dunking ability that skyrocketed his popularity in 1991 when he captured the NBA's slam dunk title.
Dee was so exciting this past season in the slam dunk competition that he brought the youth of America once again out to the playgrounds and trying to copy the style that he brought forth. They won him the title. So he did a great job of getting the youth of America out there and trying to imitate him. Now he's a guy who all these young kids are looking up to in the slam dunk contest.
This past summer, the public got a chance to see why Dee was named the NBA's 1991 Slam Dunk Champion. Dee and Celtics head coach Chris Ford toured many shopping malls in the New England area, giving the people a chance to see a great sports celebrity in their own hometown. The tour kicked off near the Celtics' home of Boston Garden at the Cambridge Side Galleria.
We came up with an idea that we wanted to do a great sports event here, and we got together with WHDH and Eddie Andelman, and we put it all together, and we have a few ideas, and this is just the first of these sporting events we're going to do.
The main attraction of the event was a slam dunk contest involving local youngsters. They competed against one another, with the winner having an opportunity to dunk against Dee Brown.
This one had a little butterflies in my stomach, you know, going against Dee Brown and the remaining participants.
I was reading in the newspaper, and I just saw it. So my father told me to come down. He was like, yeah, just try it, you know. So, hey, I was like, I thought it was going to be, you know, just for fun. I just came down and tried it. The competition was good.
Before the competition, Dee and Chris were on hand signing autographs along with another Celtics legend, Dave Collins. Dave's involvement with the Cambridge Side Galleria stems from his role as president of the New England Sports Museum. By this summer, the mall will become the new home for the Sports Museum.
This is going to be an interactive museum. It's going to be a place where the sports community sort of hang its hat. There'll be a lot of uses for the museum, for the community, and one to showcase the history of sports and how this whole thing has evolved, the different changes that take place in the various games, the science and the art and all that stuff that surrounds sports, the media.
The slam dunk qualifiers were excited and nervous about the competition and the possibility of matching dunks against NBA star D. Brown.
You wouldn't believe, I told everybody, I was like, I can't believe, I called my mom at home. I said, Mom, I'm going to be dunking against D. Brown, hopefully. And this is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you're just in awe. I went downstairs, about 2 hours before the competition started, and we sat down and just talked to him. And it was like, God, this is a real Celtic. I was sitting here right next to him talking to him, and it was really, it was kind of great.
Before the event started, all the players were coached by Chris Ford and received strategic tips from Dave Collins.
You can't afford to miss. You only get 3 dunks, and you only get a 1-on-1. Even if you got 10s on the others, the other guy's going to beat you with just mediocre dunks. So that's the key. You can't miss.
A large crowd gathered inside the main concourse of the mall for the competition, and everyone saw some very impressive slams. All over, Stacey Messiah of Dorchester, the last contestant in the event, was selected the Galleria Slam Dunk Champ, mostly for his innovative style and powerful dunks.
When I went last, I took it as an advantage, yes, but keeping in mind that they're all so good. Everyone's a winner, no matter what sport they do.
All of the youngsters enjoyed the competition and gained some fond memories as well as positive self-esteem.
When we had the preliminary round, and I said, wow, these, they're really, athletic, and I figured, I had my work cut out for me. I probably could have done a little bit better. I missed a couple of dunks, but, just taking it in stride. Right. Well, it's all for fun. I was like the youngest and the shortest, so if I keep going, I'll be, maybe one time, I just might be in the first place.
Now the scene was set for the most anticipated event of the day. It was time for Galleria champion Stacey Messiah to show her stuff against D. Brown, the 1991 NBA Slam Dunk champion. Brown showed a glimpse of his extraordinary ability that day and hopefully will continue to improve as an NBA player for years to come.
D. Brown and the rest of the Boston Celtics have themselves a busy week. Let's take a look at what's coming up for the Celtics. First up on Sports Channel Wednesday night, the Orlando Magic will be in town. Pre-game show for that is set at 7 o'clock. And then on Friday night, it'll be the Los Angeles Clippers, a good basketball team in here to test the Celtics, again on Sports Channel at 7. And then on Sunday, the Celtics will see the Magic again, but this time down around the Magic Kingdom as the Celtics hit the road. That one Sunday night at 7. And that's going to do it for this week on Amalie Celtics Weekly. Hope you enjoyed the last half hour. See you next week, everybody.